Welcome to a very special video today on Raving Sports. My name is Mike, and we are joined by a very, very special guest. His name is Peeing Plant. Oh, wait. Did I get that right? No, Urinating Tree. Just kidding. That was a very, very poor introduction, but welcome, Urinating Tree.
No worries, my man. Glad you could have me. And trust me, I ain't that special. I'm just some shit poster on the internet. But once again, thank you for having me, man.
That was probably a very, very cringe-worthy introduction on my part, but that'll all be forgotten once my Discord stops blowing up with notifications. Okay, so now that Discord's calmed down, I'm gonna ask the first thing: where'd the name come from? Urinating Tree.
I remember the name came back from, I think, around mid-2000s. I remember me and my brother had Xbox Live back in the day. And we were just figuring out, like, because we had to split a name. Because no way you were going to get two Xboxes for two different brothers. You know what I mean? And the way it was that we had to share a name. And I'm obviously running on right now, but I'll get to the gist of it. I came up with a weird name because I'm thinking, you know what? I want my own account someday. It's like, you know what would be a good name? Urinating Tree. And then I thought it was funny. I was, like, about, 15, 16? And it was, in my immature mind, I thought that was comedic gold. And after a while, it eventually was able to put it into action. It was not Xbox Live, but it was, I think, late 2005, if I remember correctly. It was a video game called The Movies. It was a bit of an ambitious title. I remember it was made by Lionhead Studios. It was that you were able to actually, be your own Hollywood studio. And one of the keys there was to make your own movies and edit them into something coherent. And I remember making an account. I think there's some still available online. I think most of them are lost to history. I think a couple of the ones I remember making, I think the first one I made was called The Worst Movie Ever Made, because I realized this was going to be a pile of shit. And the way it was that, you know what, let's start from the bottom and then work our way up. So after a while, I think I had done the movies, and then I discovered YouTube, and thus I came out with that name over there, and thus was how the name was created. Long story short, unfortunately, rambling a little bit long. I'm sorry.
That's a much longer story than I had anticipated. I was thinking, I made the name when I was 12, and I thought it was funny, and I decided to keep it because I had nothing else. Honestly, I'm honestly surprised it's that detailed of a story.
It's not really detailed. It's just I'm rambling on for no apparent reason. That's the only reason, man.
So the biggest thing on your channel is a theme called the Lol Cow, and I've always drawn a blank on the origins of the name Lol Cow. Would you please give a definitive explanation as to what a Lol Cow is for the average viewer who is unaware of your channel's existence, and where the name was derived from?
Well, a lol cow is originally described for people on the internet that use, they're laughed at for reasons either in or out of their control. Like, one of the more infamous ones was a guy named Christian Reston Chandler. He is considered the original lol cow of sort of way. Like, people, it's not really bullying per se. It's just more like observation. It's like National Geographic of the way it was. And the way I see it is that I think that can be translated into sport. I think sport is the best comedy that there is. I grew up with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they were the greatest comedy act to me in the city of Pittsburgh when I was growing up. It really formed me. I remember Matt Morris's last start.
Wow. That
was 2008. I was there. All I remember was laughing my ass off in the first inning because it was just so horrible that, like, it was sad, yet it was funny at the same time because we were watching the death of a career. But I couldn't help laughing, and that's what really it's really cruel to think about now, but and I think that's what really shaped me, and thus to call it a lol cow, like, I don't even you could really say, like, there are certain versions of it. There are the bottom dwellers, like your Cleveland Browns and your old Pittsburgh
They're
Pirates.
Almost not even a lol cow anymore, the Browns. They're in a completely different class of being made fun of now.
They're just in deliberate suckitude right now. They're just not even, like, trying. They're just deliberately like, you know what, let's just suck. Let's just do it now, and let's just get rid of it now. No biggie. We're good. And then you have your ones like the Cincinnati Bengals, who completely collapse in a playoff game or choke because of idiotic actions on and off the field. or you have maybe not really a lolcow per se, but your legacy's a failure. Your Washington Capitals, your Minnesota Vikings, your teams that just choke up in the playoffs and they just do their own thing. So it's the way I see a lolcow is it's just like, it's the explanation. It's like something where you laugh at is they're in and out of their own control despite not really trying to be funny. Like a sports team does not legitimately wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm going to be terrible. I'm going to go 0-16 this year. That takes effort, that takes patience, and that takes a lot of dedication. The 08 Detroit Lions are something to strive for. And that took years of planning.
Matt Millen is all but responsible for that. Has there ever been a
I really think the Browns should have hired him.
Has there ever been a canceled locale video?
Canceled?
Like a team that you started making one on, you're like, you know what, they're not as bad as I thought they were.
I haven't had one yet. I know most of the ones that I've been doing, like I've had on maybe a watch list, but it's been too like early to really tell that, oh, I'm looking into something and they turned it around.
Oh.
Like, I thought maybe the Diamondbacks would have been one I may have done, but that changed. So it's not really a cancellation. It's just something I just cross off the list.
I think I was the only human being on the planet who predicted the Arizona Diamondbacks would go to the playoffs this year. And it was in the spring trade. Yeah, I think a good question is, who do you think is bordering on the next lolcow? If you're comfortable saying that, because that could be a spoiler. But is there a team that's so close in any sport to deserve it at this moment?
Ooh, that's tough. I know, like, for basketball, easily the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're going to be a shit show for a while, especially with how the LeBron and Kyrie scenarios are playing out. Couldn't happen to a better owner, by the way. Dan Gilbert's a piece of shit. Hockey, I don't know. I might have to say Red Wings, but that's more like just a decline into mediocrity, not really a lolcow per se. It's more of a decline and fall of an empire. Football, I don't know if there's really one particular team that's going to be falling off the radar, whatnot. Most of them. Basketball, I've already gone over. Baseball.
I have two in mind for baseball, so I'll suggest the other one you don't, assuming it's one of the two.
Yeah, I know, like, baseball, I can't really figure out say there are a couple that are on the list, per se, but most of it's just general stuff.
You've alluded to being interested in doing one on the Cincinnati Reds for a while. That was one of the two I was thinking of. The
Reds, maybe. I know, like, they're more in their tanking stage right now, so you can't really tell where they're going. A lot of it was more because I remember the wild card game against the Pirates. They were just smoked.
The Cueto thing?
And then Dusty Baker got fired. Yep. The fans didn't do shit for that one.
Yeah, they did. That's the real life equivalent of Daryl.
Well, he didn't cry though. That's the
key. He dropped the ball.
He didn't shed
close
a tear.
Enough.
Well, Homer didn't get hit in the head, unfortunately, so Reds didn't win. Too bad. But I know for the Reds, like, I still think the Bengals are the biggest joke in that city. It's just sad because, like, they were so close to winning a playoff game, and they single-handedly blew it. It was like that 25-point lead by the Falcons condensed into a minute and change. I remember sitting at a bar after work one day, just sitting there in absolute shock because the Steelers should not have won that game.
Well, I'm going to say...
And, like, the recurring... Oh, go ahead, dude.
I was going to say, I'm going to kind of call bullshit on something. The biggest joke in the city of Cincinnati is the Cincinnati Zoo, not any sports team, for outright murdering an innocent gorilla. Please continue.
Praise be to Harambe.
Dicks out.
25's holy back. And I could make a really bad Ghostbusters Leslie Jones joke, but that's been done to death. I'd rather not do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry I cut you off. Continue. My bad.
No worries, man. It was just a bad joke. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. That's my life. Every joke I make's a bad joke.
Dude, it's my life too. Don't worry about it. But as I said, like, the Bengals, what to me was they did nothing after, how catastrophic, like, blowing of a lead like that. Like, Vontez Burfict's still there. Pac-Man Jones has accosted police officers and reporters. He's still there. Marvin Lewis is still there. Mike Brown's a cheap ass. I'm sorry. He's not doing what needs to be done. And that, not even as a Bengals fan, that makes me livid.
So,
at least to me.
The other team, I'm a very baseball-biased person. I grew up watching baseball. I'll always defend baseball. Baseball will always be my favorite sport. From experience, being to this ballpark multiple times, knowing the fan base, knowing many people who are fans of this team, I really think the Miami Marlins are the worst franchise in sports right now.
Jeffrey Loria. Good old Jeffrey Loria. If he ever sells the team, I'm thinking of maybe doing a little poem in honor of his legacy of ruining baseball in two separate markets. The thing I never got was Jeffrey Loria ruining baseball in Montreal. He ran them into the ground.
Well,
he never did TV rights, never did radio rights. And then, baseball's like, here, let me give you another team to fuck up. And
the Expos,
sorry, Miami, you deserve better, man. And now you got that big fancy new stadium that's a huge doppelganger and a boondoggle all over the city of Miami 5 years in. You have people suing them for, being lied to, vendors being sued by Miami, Miami suing fans because they've reneged on their season tickets. Because, they're shady. There's no other way to put it.
I have a friend. I hit him up. I was like, hey, you want to go to a Marlin game sometime since I live in Florida? And he's like, no, I hate that franchise. I hate that stadium. It's a scam. That place makes me sad. And I'm like, chill. But,
well, Montreal, it's still a sore subject for them.
Yeah.
It'd only be more sore if Washington ever won a World Series.
Yeah, I've said many times that I'm a Met fan, so seeing the Nationals, this entire Nationals off-season was, all right, are they going to get Wade Davis? Are they going to get Kenley Jansen? Are they going to get Chapman? Are they going to re-sign Melanson? Nah, they're just going to run in with...
The thing I kept hearing was always that they had three choices. It was always Andrew McCutchen, Chris Sale, Mark Melanson.
Or Adam Eaton.
They got none of the three. Who do they get? Adam Eaton, who tears his ACL about a week into the season as, a weird organization like the Nationals would happen because, of course. And now you have no bullpen because you flipped or decided to go light on it because you couldn't get Melanson.
I think closer is a position that should be relatively easy to find, though. You have to get someone to get 3 outs, but the Nationals have somehow made the Blake Trinan, Sean Kelly, Coda Glover show like a circus almost.
It's tough because, well, let's face, who was their closer before? Papel Douche. He fell apart.
When he choked Harper in the dugout, that was fun.
Mm-hmm. And now he's out of baseball because happily ever after, right? Couldn't happen to a better person in the world, that Papel Douche. Melanson, he was all right in Pittsburgh in his final year. He had a rough April, and then he ended up doing all right. This year, unfortunately, he's falling apart, and apparently he's an issue in the San Fran locker room because he, I don't know, apparently he tries to be a leader or he doesn't talk or they don't like the way he does things in there. So I think that's the big issue with Melanson right now. San Fran in general is a train wreck, but...
It's an odd year. What do you expect?
True. It's what happens with Mad Bum and the dirt bike.
Yeah. What would you say is the best video you've ever made?
Best video. I'd probably say I have a soft spot for the Carolina Hurricanes won the Brass Bonanza. I tried making it into a radio spot to advertise their team. I felt like that turned out pretty well. I felt like it was it was more concise, more compact. Felt like it was able to really bring things together very quickly. And I've always been a fan of creating radio spots, so I always have a soft spot for that one.
Ignoring the Mets one, because that's obviously my favorite one since so how accurate it is. I'm looking at your channel right now on my phone. I think all of your videos are really good to me because they are accurate. It's not like you're complaining uselessly about something that doesn't exist. Your videos are actually accurate to their complaints. So I'd say I think you did a really good job on the Minnesota Vikings legacy of failure. And I'm not a Viking fan, I'm a Jet fan, and I think the Vikings video is better than the Jet one, for example. And I think the Knicks one is extremely accurate. I think all of your Buffalo, the walking mediocrity of sports. Nobody can put it better.
It's a very... the way I see it is I don't really try to be, say, funny or like informative. I just try to be me, and I think that's the way I think really brings together the way I let just the truth speak for itself. And in a way, like I don't really like to weave narratives or try and push an agenda of some sort. And I'll probably end up getting some dude counteracting this with 11 billion different things. But still, the truth is the deadliest weapon to me. It's the one that stings the most. It's the one that hurts. I mean, look at Pittsburgh. You can tell me they can't beat New England. It is the biggest sting because it's true.
Yeah.
And because they can't beat New England.
Your delivery is usually what makes it funny. It's very paradoxical in the fact that you are a very intelligent human being with a vast vocabulary, yet you're also going like, "Oh, fuck this" the whole time. So it's very the big contrast. Thank you for the word. I just slapped my mic with my thumb. So I think the contrast is certainly there, as you give off the vibe of as being like a very intelligent, educated human being, while also combining the angry sports fan who throws his living throws his living room at the remote.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I've always grown up with sports. I've always loved sports. I mean, in age, I've really grown in love with the games. I used to be like hardcore Pittsburgh fan. Like I'd always be like Stellar Nation, and don't get me wrong, I love my Pens, but I feel like I love the like hockey more. I was about to say the NHL, but they keep bashing themselves in the foot and hurting the league repeatedly, and they're probably going to go into another lockout because nobody knows what the fuck to do. But they're just beautiful games, and I think that's what I try to do with people, regardless of bias or town or team. At the end of the day, most sports suck. It will kick you right in the nuts, rip out your heart, and then just like stab you with it repeatedly. And we've all dealt with it, even the ones that have dealt with championships. Like, look at Boston. Look at how they're a huge baseball curse until recently. The Cubs, 107 years. The Penguins had a huge stretch, like from 09 to 16, where it was just like completely aggravating. We thought we were fucked for about like 10 years because we were dealt with a bunch of like albatross contracts and just really bad players in general. And like we thought Crosby was done. And that's what sports do to you. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I mean, I'll gladly admit I've been spoiled. I mean, except for baseball, like, because I was too young to remember the early 90s and they were god awful for most of my life. But I mean, look at football. You deal with their Super Bowl championships. I hate the team now. I can't stand them, but you still deal with those Super Bowl rings. The Penguins with their championships, they've had 3 of them. I mean, especially the last 2, like I still can't believe. I thought they'd be fucked, but like that's more success than a lot of people deal with. And I think that's what I have to look back on. And
now that I've you go.
Oh, no, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, now that I've gotten over the embarrassment of mixing up the words in the previous thing I've said, I think losing in sports kind of teaches you a life lesson. I'm almost glad that out of the 3 teams I constantly root for, I've seen 1 championship appearance in the Mets. I'm a Mets, Jets, Knicks fan, which you can only imagine how that's gone
my
for me.
My condolences, my man.
Yeah, but the alternative is being, let's say, a Yankee fan, where living in the Northeast for most of my life, I had to deal with Yankee fans, like the 2013-14 period where they were like 500, like, what a disappointing season for the longest-suffering franchise in baseball, the New York Yankees. And I'm like, bitch, you won a World Series like 5 years ago.
Short-term memory is very fickle. At the end of the day, look at Boston, the Bruins. They won a cup in 2011. They don't look to be winning one anytime soon because of a boys club up there.
So yeah, like that 97 Marlins syndrome.
Yeah, look at the 97 Marlins, or like even the Chicago Blackhawks, 2014. Like they won a cup a couple years ago. It's still like in the memory bank, but at the end of the day, they're on a bit of a down spiral after getting spanked by Nashville, and now they're trying to bring back the old gang again. The LA Kings. They won a couple of cups, and unfortunately their window's closed. And now I feel like they're dealing with another boys club. Hint, they're on the list. They're on my watch list. So, but Indian-related team names, I had really gone on them. I think they should really. I don't find them all that offensive. Although, to be fair, I'm not an Indian. I don't find myself that offended. I think a lot of the people that are offended by Indian names, like, say, the Indians or the Chiefs or the Redskins, I think they're just, overly sensitive liberals. I think they're just trying to push an agenda in favor of, like, the tribes. If you look at the research, it shows that, like, I think like 85 to 90% of Native Americans don't have an issue with the names. I mean, there are certain ones that do. The Oneida tribe was one of the more notable ones. But to me personally, I don't really have an issue with it. In terms of like the Redskins controversy, part of me thinks like Dan Snyder will cave in and change the name, but he's very into tradition and he's a very stubborn man. So I think he'll keep that fight to the very end. And let's face it, with Dan Snyder, there's no winner in either one.
I think the most acceptable Indian names are the ones that honor specific tribes, i.e. the Florida State Seminoles. Those you should absolutely have no problem with. I do think, even though I'm not one to get offended over too much, although I do get butthurt over my fair share of things, I think the Redskins is actually blatantly offensive because, let's be honest, do they actually have red skin? It's an actual slur. Let's be honest here. So that's the one.
It was a slur back in the 1950s. I do remember that.
That's the one I do think should be changed.
But once again, Dan Snyder. He's always been a tradition. And if you remember, the original owner was like the last one to integrate black players on their team. So they do have that history above them.
Yeah. I think I was having this discussion with my father a couple weeks ago, and he brought up a very philosophical point with how triggered everyone gets now in 2017 and how it's inevitable. Like, Chief Wahoo's gone for the Indians, which I think is good riddance, to be honest with you. I think the Chief Wahoo is kind of stupid. I do think
I've never had an issue with the logo. I thought it was cheesy, but
yeah, that was my
at the end of the day, they've been slowly phasing it out. So
that was my problem with it. I think
it's just cheesy. That's what I felt. I didn't find it offensive. It's just like it was meh.
My father brought up the point, will people start to get so offended over names like the Brewers, or that promote alcohol consumption to children?
What about the Fighting Irish? They go vod up, get drunk, and then beat the shit out of each other?
Yeah, is it offensive to the Irish? Like, that kind of thing. Like, I think we are moving in a very bad direction in society that you almost can't say anything anymore without it being deemed offensive.
Well, everybody
by
gets
someone.
offended over everything. That's the problem. And there are certain things to get offended about. But the problem is, like, now everything's triggering. Everything's a quote-unquote microaggression. Everything is just something that, let me be offended for you, or let me be offended for the sake of being offended. No, there's a lot of hive mind thinking in. If you like, everyone on the left is in their hive mind, they go further to the left. Everyone on the right has their hive mind, they're going to the right, which means that nobody's going to be able to come to the table and actually discuss the issues that are plaguing our society.
Yeah,
and that's why nothing gets done. At least in my mind, that's how I feel like it is.
I think you're right, actually. So the other of the couple stories I have that are completely dead is, what are your thoughts on the Ball family? Do the kids deserve any hate for what the father does?
To me, LeVar Ball is a troll. He is doing exactly what he plans to do, and it's build his family brand. He is merely just trying to make a scene so ESPN and the groups like them will actually cover them, give him time, promote his brand, and really push everything towards them. They are playing right into his hand. That's why I've never had an issue with LeVar Ball. The dude is, I mean, let's repeat it. He's a troll.
Exactly.
That's all he is.
Exactly. I have no problem with them. In fact, I love the Ball family. I I know people who are like, I hope Lonzo is a bust. I'm like, you can't be angry about a kid who's been put into the circumstances of his dad being like the village idiot almost. And like, in fact,
I mean, LeVar Ball's, he's annoying, but at the end of the day, he's doing what he feels is best for his brand.
I think that...
And that's just marketing 101.
I think that I actually have more respect for Lonzo based on how he never publicly bashes his father, how he deals with it, how he's a very humble kid. I never have any problem with the children for the antics of their father. I think it's comparing apples and oranges almost.
Mm-hmm. Now, if the kids go off and do their own shit, that's, I feel like, is partially on LeVar Ball for raising them, but I feel like... I think the issue a lot of people have is like he's the ultimate stage dad, or the sports dad, or the stage mom, or something like that. You look at like Eric Lindros's dad, and Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi's dad, Todd Marinovich's dad.
Oh God!
You look at people like that.
Oh God!
And I think they see that in LeVar Ball.
You mentioned Todd Marinovich. I got the issue. I was in a classroom when someone goes, "Hey, anything in the news?" And someone goes, Todd Marinovich was found naked and high in someone's backyard last night. And you just triggered that flashback for me.
Oh, yeah. I remember like an article saying like how he had cleaned up and was trying to do better. And then it turns out he had relapsed. And unfortunately, it's just a sad situation. Same thing with Ryan Leaf. Like, he had surgery, got addicted to painkillers, and like, if you think about, like, the old 98 argument was, when I was a kid, was Manning versus Leaf. Who's going to be the better quarterback? I mean, we all thought both of them were going to be Hall of Famers, and you look, one of them's out in the league in 3 years. The other one just won a Super Bowl a year ago. And the other one's now in jail. So,
yeah. Well, most football players are in jail.
Well, to be fair, like, they either are in jail or they're soon to be in jail. I think Greg Hardy's about to go in there. I think Vontaze Burfict might end up in there if he doesn't keep his actions off the football field. Seriously, fuck Vontaze Burfict. He's a piece of shit. But, yeah, like, at the end of the day, like, I think a lot of it has to do with just, like, the infallibility of the athlete, and a lot of it more or less has to do with just a feeling of invincibility. Like, the world can't stop me, and I'm going to do whatever I please.
Then there's the flip side of the lucky whiteheads of the world who get completely screwed by circumstances like that with the stigma that.
But the Dallas Cowboys, but the Dallas Cowboys are doing what's in their best interest of the organization. That's keep together a total head case like Ezekiel Elliott, who turns out to be a perennial head case. Unfortunately, dude's a talent, but he'll be doing that little eating motion in prison if that keeps up.
I think you're being a little bit nice to Ezekiel Elliott.
Maybe. Well, I had him on my fantasy team last year.
This is the man who. This is the man who.
That's the only reason.
This is the man who sprinted out from.
So I may be biased.
That massive run to flatten the Steelers. How long was that? Like 90 yards?
That was like 40 yards. I remember that was the last drive.
I can't watch the NFL anymore with my Jets and how bland it's becoming with the announcers, and there's a TV timeout every 30 seconds.
The NFL is a joke, man. I mean, it's not even Goodell. This has been going on since Tagliabue and how he hid all the information about concussions. And that's why the NFL is just so easy to lampoon anymore. Yeah, you look at like, we never had a team in Los Angeles for 50 years. Let's put another one in there. And let's let him play in a soccer stadium with 30,000 people because I'm the saltiest and thirstiest motherfucker this time of a men's rights activist. That's really about it. Gene Spanos? Fuck him. I'm even saying this as a non-San Diego fan. Fuck him. He wants a new stadium, you pay for it out of your own hand, or at least help. Because let's put it this way: if you look at like the research about like stadiums or like arenas in general, it doesn't really do that much for the economy. I mean, the huge argument is it boosts the economy, which is true if you're a sports market, a supermarket, or like a sports bar or a memorabilia store, and that only works out for like a couple days of the year. Unless you're putting concerts in there, unless you're like generating profit every single day, it's an anchor on your city's finances. Look at what's happening in Cincinnati. Minnesota, they're having huge issues now that I didn't get into in the video. Like the pull tabs that were supposed to finance the stadium, their profits are significantly lower than expected. So now they're going to have to find a different way to pay off that stadium. Cincinnati, they're going to be paying it off for decades now. Look at how Atlanta, their new baseball stadium in Cobb County, they're going to be chained to that for decades because the taxpayers didn't even get to vote for it. It's disgusting. Let's face it, they're land barons. That's all they are. It's an idea of trying to abuse a system and deal with corporate handouts and just corporate welfare. That, oh, you're going to give me all of this money because my team gives you a little pep up in life. But if you don't, you know what? I'm going to fuck off somewhere else. I'm going to go, oh, you know what? San Antonio's calling me. Oh, look, Las Vegas is calling me with a brand new sexy stadium because roughly they're going to throw everything in the kitchen sink and fuck over their entire populace for decades because they want to put up a nice football stadium for me. You know what? I'm going to go there, and even to make it better, I'm going to sit here and make you my bitch for 3 years because guess what? Las Vegas still has to build their stadium. But you know what? I'm going to do something better. I'm going to give you a washed-up beast mode so the fans can actually be complacent for a little bit. And I think it's sickening because I think people are starting to really see through it, and I think they're they're angry. And I think they're seeing through the facade of it's gone from a game to a farce in all of the sports.
So, would you say you've ever considered making a lolcow video on a specific person ever?
Yeah, actually, I've wrote a few scripts on two things that I feel like could be done in the near future. I'm doing one on McGregor Mayweather.
Ooh.
I think it's just I think it's a soulless cash grab.
Ooh.
And I think I know, right? It's the easiest take in the world. It's like a softball pitch. But it's the death of boxing. It's the slow, painful death of boxing. And it's been happening for years now. It accelerated with Mayweather-Pacquiao. And now I feel like people are taking the bait again. It's going to be a terrible match. And the second one, it's just going to be a quickie. It's Danica Patrick. I call her...
Can you care to fill me in? Because I don't know much about auto racing.
Danica Patrick, she's a racer. I call her professional racing's blue screen of death.
Why?
So, you could... She crashes a lot.
Oh.
Yeah,
oh,
right?
shit. You just... This went really dark.
Nah.
I've always...
I mean, trust me, every racing fan, a lot of racing fans hate Danica Patrick. And, I don't have an issue with her per se. I think she's just a massive waste of potential. I think that, she could have been great, but I think she's more interested in becoming, a symbol and, a celebrity and the face of GoDaddy.com instead of driving. And I think that's her issue right now. She's in some of the best equipment, with some of the best crew, with probably every opportunity given to her handed on a silver platter, and she averages a 25th place finish. So, yep.
I think...
It's disappointing.
I don't mean to be sucking dick or anything here by suggesting ideas, but I've always thought the perfect person to just have my dream. I've been trying to collect enough to make this video. There's certainly a fuck ton of reasons to make one, but I think the time of relevancy is almost over. A laundry list video about Alex Rodriguez and why he's a very...
A-Rod.
Yes, A-Rod. You see that A-Rod's actually going on Shark Tank to be a guest investor this season?
No, never have. I never really thought of A-Rod. I mean, he's had some drama about him, the steroid allegations.
So much
his
more.
Relationship with Madonna, Texas Rangers throwing a shitload of money at him.
No, dude, there's so much.
That's more on the Rangers.
No, dude, there's more. There's the running across the mountain with Dallas Braden, the slapping Bronson Arroyo's glove, the calling I got it to that Blue Jays guy, the basically begging Jason Varitek to punch him in the face. There's so much, dude. There's a laundry list of reasons to hate A-Rod.
Well, I'll have to research that someday, man. And he got a happy ending for you, though. He was gracefully booted off of the Yankees with no warning whatsoever in the midst of his retirement tour. So you know what? You got a happy ending.
I think
most people got a happy ending.
Most people don't know this, but when he was going to go to the Rangers, the Mets were interested in him, and they had a press conference to say they were not signing A-Rod. For one of the reasons they gave, was like A-Rod demanded like a suite in every hotel on the road trips and merchandise shops with only A-Rod merchandise at Shea Stadium, like some ridiculous demands like that.
You guys dodged a bullet. Yep, I mean that sounds like A-Rod, and that's why the Rangers. I think if doing my research on them, like the old owner of them, that's his biggest regret was signing A-Rod because it shackled them to a massive contract. They couldn't back him up. Like, he performed well, but they were mediocre because all they had was A-Rod.
Yeah, I think let's get into some fun questions now. We've been very serious this entire thing. Let's take it a notch down a bit and have some fun. Would you rather fight one horse-sized ant or 100,000 ant-sized horses?
A horse-sized ant or 100,000-sized ant horses? I'd rather go with the one horse-sized ant, because the 100,000 ant-sized horses, they're the ones that could dominate you and slowly take you out. If you've ever watched ant documentaries, they'll just keep attacking you and just attack your weak points, and they will just slowly grind you to oblivion before they take you down. And that's the scarier part than anything, because it doesn't matter if you try and stomp them all, you're going to lose fatigue. With at least with the one horse-sized ant, that, you know, you can at least try and dodge it and, like, try and fight it. That's the way I see it.
If you had to eat your microphone, how would you do it?
I would slowly grill it at about 350. I would lather it with a little béarnaise, maybe a little barbecue sauce on the side, poached egg on top, and then I would put it in the form of maybe with some mashed potatoes and broccoli. I feel like it would be a nice dish. Slowly cut into it and let that metallic juiciness really soak into my mouth.
Would you ever consider putting dipping sauce on ice cream?
Depends what type of dipping sauce. If it's chocolate dipping sauce, yes. If it's anything else,
I'm referring to the traditional condiments like barbecue sauce, ketchup, like anything.
No. The ice cream is sacred.
Yes, it is.
The only things you put on that are toppings and maybe some chocolate sauce. There are no barbecue sauce. There is no topping. That's like crossing the streams. You do not do that. That would be sacrilege to ice cream. It'd be like eating a cow in India. It is something you do not do. I would just have my eyes open. I'd be like, no, get out.
Can you count to 5 in a falsetto voice?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh.
Close.
Now,
I don't know if that kind of.
We played a little bit of a game on I have a second podcast with some people that I'll link in the description. I do with like YouTuber kind of things, like in the gaming community kind of thing. It has absolutely nothing to do with this. It's just a project I started before Stark Raving Sports existed, and we played a game with a YouTuber by the name of Mr. T Lexify, where we rattled off YouTubers and had him give his knee-jerk opinion on those people. So would you mind doing a couple athletes or sports figures knee-jerk reactions to like what comes to mind when I mention these people?
Sure. Go ahead, my man.
All right, let's start with LeBron James.
He's going to slowly sink Cleveland into oblivion for the second time in a decade. But at least they'll have a trophy this time.
Tom Brady.
A deflator in heart and mind. He's got a really hot wife. And unfortunately, New England's probably going to cast him aside before he's 45.
Jose Canseco.
He's probably a dumbass because the baseball bonked him on the head one too many times.
Did you see that happen to someone in AAA recently?
Yeah, I heard about it. I haven't seen the footage of it, though.
It's
like, I think the guy who actually hit the ball, that Jose Canseco's head hit off, I think he's dead, unfortunately.
Who is it? I think it's Candy Maldonado. Let me look that up.
I think so. I don't know if it's his name. I think it's like, but I forget. I think he is dead though.
Well, if it's Candy Maldonado, he's alive. I just Googled it right now in my handy dandy Google. So, I hope. Speaking of death and morbid things, the other day I was watching your Haters Guide to the 2017 season, the spring training edition one, and you said something like, "Yeah, Jose Fernandez is gone too soon," or something like that. Like you were very nice about it, and when you were saying it, I was really expecting you to go, "Yeah, Jose Fernandez is dead now," but that's no excuse. So I was like, "Oh, thank God he didn't say that."
Well, the thing with Jose Fernandez, it's sad for me because like baseball lost a transcendent talent. I mean, the dude was an idiot. Let's not deny. You don't snort cocaine, get drunk, and then drive off in a boat with like no supervision at 2 a.m. But still, it's just a sad situation all around. It's one of the few times my tears, I was welling up inside because just like how people thought of him. Like D. Gordon hitting that home run his first time, with how close he was to Jose Fernandez, I don't think anybody had a dry eye watching it at all.
Which was against the Mets, by the way.
And that's something you can't shit on them for that. Like there's some things that are off limits, and I think that's one of them.
I'll try to pop a vein of yours as a Pittsburgh fan. Martavis Bryant.
He's a fucking idiot. Unfortunately, that he thinks 420 is the time he should smoke every fucking day. He gets his stash from Josh Gordon. And unfortunately, the sad part is he's far from the most hateable player on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Who would you say that award goes to?
That's tough. I mean, all three of Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown are all hateable pieces of shit for entirely different reasons.
I'm gonna try to turn this into let's trigger urinating tree game. What do you think of Jung Ho Gong?
Oh, hot mess. Totally hot mess. Let's get 3 straight DUIs in Korea and unfortunately go into rape allegations. And unfortunately, when that is combined with DUIs and trying to escape the scene of a hit and run, and unfortunately, the dude's kind of a mess. And he's probably never going to play for the Pirates again, unfortunately, which is kind of sad. He's the Korean version of Wayne Gretzky. So, womp, 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 right?
How's Starling Marte doing these days?
He's unfortunately sucking. He's in a bit of a batting slump. And unfortunately, he's still kind of an idiot. I know everyone says, like, oh, tainted medication. It was tainted medication. No. Nandrolone, you do not inadvertently take. That's a common steroid from the 70s.
That's a Henry.
Unfortunately, he's being an idiot.
That's a Henry Mejia kind of defense. Do you remember? So, simultaneously, what do you think of Henry Mejia? As a Met fan, I'm curious to know what the outside world thinks of that idiot.
I'm unfortunately unfamiliar with the name.
Henry Mejia, he was the closer for the Mets in 2014. Coming into 2015.
Oh, okay. I know it is. You're familiar.
No, this is that.
I know who that is. I thought you were telling me.
No, I am. Hold on. I'm not talking about Jairus Familia. Henry Mejia has big afro guy, number 58, stomped on the mound after every save. He comes in. Familia was his 8th inning guy in 2014. Coming into 2015, this is a very popular player. Supposed to be the closer for the full year. But he gets, quote, injured before opening day. Turns out, like, a week later, he's been suspended for 80 games. Comes back in July. Gets suspended for another 80 games because he gets caught again. He is now suspended for the entire 2016 season. Coming into the 2016 season, guess what? Third time's a charm. He's also suspended, banned for life.
Yep, okay, now I know who this is. I thought that was Familia for a second. I'm thinking of a different name. Okay, now I know who this is. That dude is a fucking idiot. And it's like, oops, I forgot about it. I'm not going to play it again. I just had to be reminded of that story, and it's like, yep, there it is.
Tom Verducci put it very well. His defense, Mejia has adamantly claimed since the first suspension that baseball's out to get him and that it's all a lie, and he's never taken one drug, period, pretty much. Meanwhile, the drug he took was, if I remember correctly, it was called Baldanone or something like that. Tom Verducci was like, okay, so in the history of Major League Baseball, there have been 2 people who've tested positive for Baldanone and gotten suspended. Both of them were Henry Mejia. You got me confused now with that. So that's like saying, oh, I didn't try to take a substance no one else has taken before.
Well, let's put it this way. It's probably one of those situations where he was trying to lift weights, and unfortunately, he may have accidentally fallen into the slowly injected it into him, and repeatedly, and that's probably his defense for that one. So, yeah, now that I know you're talking about it, yeah, that dude's a fucking idiot.
So, I think in order to wrap this baby up, I'm going to end with a very morbid question that's still somewhat on the fun side, but not really once you hear it. I think I'm going to depress all of the sensitive people in the audience. Would you decapitate a small animal for $100 trillion?
Depends on the type of small animal, unfortunately.
The cutest small animal,
honestly,
the cutest small animal ever, and its family's watching, and it's live, and it's cuddly.
No.
Good.
I'm sorry. I couldn't do it.
Alright, Peeing Plant and I have had a very fun... I have no idea how long it's been, but I really appreciate you coming down. Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
No worries, man. The only thing I'd like to plug is that I probably incriminated myself pretty badly in this interview, but I want to thank Stark Raving Sports for having me. I'm pretty humbled by the opportunity to interview and shoot the shit for about 30 minutes or so, but you know what? Hey, it's been a great time. Hope to do it again soon. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
We'll have to absolutely hit you up to work you in on some more stuff on the channel, because this was a lot of fun. I think, with a guy like this who gives off the very intelligent vibe in his videos, we had to start off talking like smart human beings, which probably bored 95% of the people in the world. However, I do think this was a lot of fun getting to talk to someone like you.
Oh.
I thought you disappeared for a minute. All right.
Thought I could join him, man. Peace out.
Thank you guys very much for coming. The end screen and annotations and the outro should be coming up very shortly. And insert awkward end to the video here.